Hey, what's up everybody? It's Lids, and we're back for some more Pyre Community RITE Night, which means, of course, some good old-fashioned multiplayer Pyre, featuring first and foremost none other than the members of the RITE Club Discord server, the place for all things multiplayer Pyre. And if you're interested in getting more involved in multiplayer Pyre, then look no further, because you can join said Discord group by clicking on that link right there. But those of you in chat, you are not off the hook. No, because you see the red circle with the white L below chat? You click on that and you'll find all of the various requests that you can make today, including things ranging from selecting players, exiles, masteries, songs, arenas, even Titan Stars are all fair game. So, without further ado, let's hop into versus mode here, set ourselves to our default settings. I will hop into Discord and let me know if there is anyone who would like to get us started today. For what it's worth, we were not doing any Pyre last week. Don't worry, you didn't miss anything. I just was busy with other stuffs, so as I also brush my headphones against the microphone for your listening pleasure. No, we were not streaming last week, so don't worry, you did not miss anything. But that does mean it's been a little while since we last played multiplayer Pyre, so happy to get back into the action today, and let us know, of course, if there is anything that you guys would like to see us setting up for our matches, but in the absence of that, of course, we can always just have the players take whatever they'd like, and as I often find myself saying, it may make sense to at least get a sense for who is participating in the matches before we start throwing out any sort of crazy requests. So let me know if there's anyone who would like to participate in our first matches today. One other little thing that I've been thinking about, which I'll mention now in case I forget to mention it later. But obviously, as you guys know, generally speaking, we have streamed Pyre on Twitch, and then a few days later, or really a week later generally, I'll upload that VOD to YouTube, and that's a process that is fairly time-consuming and inefficient on my end, so I'm kind of curious to try streaming on YouTube directly instead, maybe in addition, although that opens up a series of other questions that aren't important. We don't have to get into those now, but point being, may be interested in streaming directly to YouTube next week, and then that way I don't have to, after the fact, go and download the VOD, slice it up into, removing the stuff on either end before or after we are done with the real stuffs. And also just, it's been a while since we've ever streamed anything on YouTube. I think we've only ever done it once or twice, and that was years ago. So I'm kind of curious to see what things are like doing the streaming stuff on the YouTube end. And I would say maybe it's gotten better in the past few years, but honestly, I don't really remember what it was like when we did do it, especially since it was only once or twice. So it's not like we had some kind of boatload of experience with that process, but I'm a little intrigued on that front as well. So big picture, just a heads up, next week, if you're looking for us doing multiplayer Pyre and you're not finding us on Twitch, then just a little note, we may instead find ourselves trying things out on YouTube. So little logistical announcement. I'll try to remember to talk about that at the end of the day again today as a reminder, but I may not remember myself. So Anyways, as I was saying, let me know if anyone is interested in getting in on the action here to start things off. If not, I mean, I can always hop in as one of the two players if we are waiting for other people to stop on by. Of course, as is always the case, I give preference to getting you guys in from chat, so that's mostly just a backup plan, I suppose, but let me know if there's anyone who would like to hop in. Otherwise, I mean, we could... Wait, weren't people... Oh, wait. I was just remembering. When was this? Hold on, this was a few days ago. How long ago was this? Since we weren't streaming last week, I don't remember if this was technically this past week or the week before. When was this? This was 4 days ago. We may or may not have had someone who, I don't know exactly what the setup was, but they did a versus mode match, but it was all CPUs. And it was 3 curs against 3 curs. And it took the CPUs so long to score that because apparently the cur the AI, or the CPU's strategy when it plays as curs is just to prioritize banishing the opposing players above all else, apparently. And so that means they almost never score, especially since the opposing curs have very high hopes, so they come back quickly. So it's kind of a never-ending loop of... it's almost infinite curs, in a way. So, anyways, someone was setting up a CPU match, 3 curs against 3 curs. They recorded it, and it took, I think, close to an hour for either of the CPUs to win, and I don't even know if that ever happened, because I'm pretty sure that the video ended before either Pyre dropped down to 0 life. They recorded for a really long time, and then with the video that they posted, they put it on something like times 16 speed. So it was still, hold on. How long of a video? Oh, hold on. It also may or may not have silly music in it, so that's probably not the... Yep. Probably not gonna play it for that reason. But times 16 speed, and it's like 5 minutes long, the video, and it doesn't even finish with the match ending. So, yeah, I don't know how long it would have taken to finish the whole thing, if it ever did actually get finished. But I was just thinking about that, because I'm kind of curious to test that out myself. I wouldn't have ever expected it to be that crazy, that long of a match. Like, if you had said to me, without any of that additional context, hey Lids, how long do you think it would take to have 2 100% CPU cur teams playing against each other? I probably wouldn't have guessed much longer than a typical match, maybe slightly longer, but I mean, this is just a whole different ball game. Oh wait, no, turn customize on. But if we do CPU against CPU, this is what I don't know. I don't know what the CPU strength rating was, nor do I know what the setup was for the curs. Like, were they actually optimized curs, or was part of this that the curs had no masteries and no talismans, or the CPU strength was the minimum value? I am not sure. Because on one hand, you would say, well, surely a CPU strength 5 setup would be stronger, right? But maybe that just means that the CPU goes all in on the whole banishing idea and just ignores ever trying to score. Just basically never picks up the orb, because that's what it looked like from that recording. So maybe we test this out here. I feel like it might have been CPU strength 5, but I certainly could be wrong. So let's try and maybe the arena matters as well. Would I think a larger arena probably makes more sense, because take Fall of Solium, for example, largest arena. If we are assuming that the way this functions behind the scenes is that the CPU-controlled Kerr truly just, whenever it sees an opposing character, always prioritizes casting to get rid of them over picking up the orb and trying to score, then having a larger arena in which it takes longer for someone to pick up the orb and get all the way to the opposing Pyre, there's more time for people to respawn, and therefore more time for both teams to say, forget about this whole orb thing, let's go back to just banishing each other. So let's try this. I feel like we go CPU strength 5, and then we maybe go no masteries and no talismans. I feel like that would be my guess as to how that works. And obviously, if it actually does play out that way, you know, if we go 10 minutes with little to no scoring, then I think we've proved our point. We don't need to go all the way with this experiment. I just am intrigued enough to give it a little bit of a shot, a little taste. So obviously, in this situation, we have, first of all, and second of all, I don't even remember what teams people were. I see the Essence logo, and that's for player 2. It's the Fate? Okay. Alright, so I'm thinking it's just super basic Kerr setup, absolutely nothing here. So obviously much weaker from that standpoint. However... Oh, wait, no, this is a problem. Wait, what? Huh? Oh, oops. How did that happen? So yeah, I feel like you make the Kerrs quote-unquote stronger, because although that may be what you would first think would be the way to make those Kerrs more effective, in truth it's just all defense and no offense.
Who shall conduct the rites?
But then you don't give them the masteries, you don't give them the talismans, and that way they don't actually have the tools to be efficient defensively, and hence why we get caught in a near never-ending loop.
Dogbert.
That's my guess, at least. But we're about to find out. So let's see. What happens now?
Now begin.
Okay. Immediately, they prioritize doing the casting, so that is off to a good start. See how long it takes before anyone chooses to pick up the orb.
Take that, Barker.
Wow. Every time they get closer to the orb, and I'm like, surely now this is the time, right? Nope. No, it is not. Oh, they almost picked up. They did. This could be a game-changing move. See, well, everyone's banished, but now it could have been a scoring opportunity, except because it's a big arena, we bought enough time for the Fate to get some characters back, and now we're back to this stalemate. Okay, I think I see how this works now. And I think I may believe it. At first, it seemed just a little too crazy to be true, a little too out there. But we have seen 95% of this match with neither player picking up the orb, until now. There's a brief moment before. And it still feels like even then, most of the time when people pick up the orb, it's by accident. Or they immediately throw it to the opposing team, just so they can go back to casting at each other. Okay, surely this ends in a score, right? Okay. But with no prayer beads, that means one fewer Kerr, which I actually think means that this round is going to go much quicker. Because it will take much less time before everyone is banished on the Fate side. Which will at least encourage the Essence to be more aggressive offensively, but, you know, that's just a theory. in practice. Oh, will that actually play out? That is crazy, though, as well. Not only does it take them forever to choose to pick up the orb, at least 50% of the time when they pick up the orb, they immediately throw it directly to the other team. Like that. Which I think is deliberately a decision to try to set up a banishment opportunity. But there we go. It's actually not really the circumstance under which I would have expected for the fate, or rather the essence, to score. They have now leveled the playing field, though. 85 Pyre life apiece, and obviously that was also a plunge, so now it is the reverse situation with the essence down 1 cur, but still a lot of time spent doing this. They inch slightly closer on both sides, then they cast, and that actually sets them slightly back. And so then they switch back to that character, inch slightly closer, and it's just rinse repeat. For a minute there, we had a very, very good example of the loop.
Oh, poor old Dalbert.
So yeah, I think we have probably, as I was starting to say, we may have already proved our point that yes, this is a thing. If you try going this route, it will take a very, very long time. Obviously, could vary from one match to the next exactly how long it does take, but at this rate, it could be quite a long. Oh, and in fact, we didn't take any talismans at all. However, the logic there was that we didn't want to give the curs any additional tools to be more efficient with their casting. Like, look at this. This is another example of they inch closer. They're just barely out of range of each other's casts for the most part, but it backs them up slightly when they cast. And it just leads to, it feeds into the loop even more. Like that. Oh, except everyone down, okay. This time it's a throw, though. For the full 15, but this is interesting. Because that means both teams are back at full strength, which I think the stalemate is going to last longer this time. So if you wanted to try this out for yourself, obviously you could, and we could see... we could run a full-blown experiment. Many different people doing this setup and see, on average, how long it takes. And I don't know what the number would be, but I imagine it'd be rather high. But what I was starting to get at was we deliberately took no talismans because we didn't want to make any of the curs more efficient with their casting efforts. However, there are plenty of other talismans you could have given them, which may not have helped defensively with their casting utility, may not have helped much offensively with how much damage that they deal, but you could have given them some different types of defensive talismans, or really what I'm getting at is Pyre life talismans. Ones that give you extra starting Pyre life, or maybe even leech. One or both of those types of things would likely extend the length of this match even more. Certainly if you gave 30 extra Pyre life for each team. The leech, it depends a little bit exactly how that plays out, but if you truly wanted to make the match as long as possible, there are still some additional tricks that you could pull out. Rekindling, obviously, on the talisman at least, with the right light. No saps, but you can still get 20 rekindling. So, if you put 20 rekindling, 30 extra starting Pyre life, and leech on someone, I mean, if you only have leech on one character, then what's the chances of that character being the one who happens to score? I don't know if the CPU is smart enough to go out of its way to attempt that to the extent possible, or if it's truly just 100% coincidence, if/when they end up scoring with the preferred offensive character. But if you were to do all of those things, then it'd certainly make the match at least a little bit longer on average. I would think that this is the longest arena on average, given how it is the largest arena, although there are other arenas that could have something to say about that. Thinking of like Nest of Trieste, which obviously can lead to additional banishments. But I think if you're trying to make the match as long as possible, you're not trying to facilitate banishments. So that's going to accelerate things, if anything, because that's the only time when they actually attack, for the most part, is when every opposing character is down. Yes, the Nest of Trieste lava banishments are only 2 seconds, whereas, as we're seeing here, the default curve respawn time is about 6 seconds. Oh, here's another thing. Given what we were just saying, another way to potentially increase the duration of these rites would be to give the curs extra hope. The Hope Egg Talisman. Again, only ever going to affect one of them at a time, but if truly the teams only attack when every single cur is down, even just having one cur that comes back more quickly is going to always be relevant, unless that one cur happens to have plunged and is therefore permanently banished in the current round. So at this rate, it's been, what, at least 10 minutes. I mean, I didn't start a timer, but surely this has been at least 10 minutes. And at least from a mathematical standpoint, we are less than halfway through. So this is on pace to be at least seemingly a 20-minute match. Assuming that the trend continues here, they don't magically become far more efficient offensively. But I think we've seen enough of this to prove that this doesn't appear to be a fluke. It is strange, though, because of all the classes that you would expect the CPU to play extremely defensively, Cur probably wouldn't have been at the top of the list. Generally, by many accounts, one of the weakest classes defensively. But then again, is this behavior really unique? Is the CPU behavior really unique to the Curs, or do they play every class like this? Because they kind of do, in a way. And so maybe the reason why it's most noticeable, why it turns into a stalemate so much with the Curs, is because with any other class, they can play defensively in a much more effective and efficient way. So they actually do get banishments more frequently. They do banish everyone on the opposing team more frequently, and it takes longer for those banished exiles to come back, and so there eventually are more opportunities for them to score. And it is just because the Curs are so inefficient defensively, and because the CPUs insist on playing defensively despite that, that we find this dynamic. I think that's probably what I would chalk it up to. This is for the past 20 seconds at least, now they're breaking the loop, but before that, we had a very good example of the phenomenon I was describing. Like there, for example, everyone was banished momentarily on the Fate side, but because the Curs come back so quickly, wasn't enough time for anything to come out of that. Here, another good example of it. They broke the loop a little bit, but you'll get at least 10 seconds straight, if not 20 seconds straight sometimes of this. I was gonna say, it seemed like there was an opportunity there to score, which at least a human player you would expect to attempt to make a move there. Eventually the CPU did go for it, and it did pay off. I think a lot of what will determine how long these types of matches go will be which team happens to be the one that breaks the deadlock. So right now we're seeing that through sheer chance, the Fate happen to have had more opportunities to score, and so they are the one in the lead. So, you know, if every score went to the Fate, then obviously it would be quicker, as we're seeing here. That's another 14, whereas if it still takes the same amount of time in between scores, but both teams consistently alternate who is doing the scoring, then the match could take twice as long, rather than having to wait for, you know, 5, or no, it'd be more than 5, assuming that you don't have the extra damaging mastery on the Kurs. But, you know, say it takes 7, 8 scores. If it's just one team going, then, well, it could be double that. If the teams continuously alternate who is the one scoring. Maybe what we'll do, this is giving me an idea. And it's a horrible idea, but maybe in a good way. Maybe what we'll do is, in the future, when we're waiting to start up the stream, rather than just having a little pop-up that says, "Oh, starting soon," we'll just have this going in the background. Because I think we now know that it could last however long we need it to last. And it gives people it's a little bit of action for people to watch. Yeah, just put starting soon up top here, and then you're basically good to go, right? But if there is anyone who would like to get in on the action, let me know. This is, you know, just just us messing around, experimenting with some of the quirks, the features, one might say, of multiplayer Pyre. And honestly, I'm surprised that we never really stumbled across this until just now. And again, this was not my idea in the first place. I only stumbled across it because someone else had already tried it out themselves. And I didn't really believe what I was seeing. Perhaps until now. At this rate, we're surely looking at least a 15-minute RITE, which, for what it's worth, would not be our record for the longest RITE ever in RITE Night. We've had a few that have broken the 40-minute mark. Those were several years ago, and the setup in those cases, obviously, it was 2 humans against each other. It was not CPUs, so kind of comparing apples to oranges in a way. Although, if anything, you would think that the human matches would be faster than this. But the setup was totally different. No Kurs were involved. It was generally, in all of the cases, the 2 or 3 cases when it was 40 minutes or longer, it meant that they were very SAP-dominated, very SAP-oriented matches. The very first one was, of course, the origin story behind the first Civil War. It was Nest of Trieste, 2 saps on both teams, 1 imp on each team. And the imp for both teams had the cursed talisman that prevented it from picking up the orb, and therefore the imp could do very little, if anything, offensively. at least directly. It might have had portals, I don't remember. But it meant that both players were very, if not entirely, reliant upon their saps to do all the offensive heavy lifting. And on one team, you had Manly with the extra distance on his throws, the sling bullet, and that was the origin of quarterback Manly. And then on the other side, you had Tailwind Crest on Volfred, which was the origin of Speedy Volfred, which is why you are not allowed to take Tailwind Crest on Manly, nor are you allowed to take Sling Bullet on Volfred. Palmas is okay with either of them. This, remember, there's a chance this was before we had modded in Palmas or any of the other additional exiles. May have been that long ago. But the main reason why it seemed as though we probably weren't ever going to see that same type of dynamic play out again was because that was, again, long enough ago that it was before people had really figured out how to make the best use of offensive saps. They were still very much seen as defensive characters, and they were fine in that regard on your team as long as you had other people who could fill more offensive roles. But if you were forced into using exclusively saps offensively, then we found oftentimes players had a lot of trouble breaking through. And that is why Nest of Trieste, 2 saps, 1 imp that couldn't pick up the orb, was at least the original 40-plus minute match. And ever since, we had 1 or 2 relatively soon thereafter. Well, might have taken a few months, maybe even a year, before we got to another one that was 40 minutes plus, and then maybe there's 1 more after that, but then we went several years without coming anywhere near that number. And it seemed at that point that the sap strats had advanced. People had become much more accustomed to using them offensively. So, if we were to ever see a match go anywhere near that length again, it would probably need to be a totally different kind of setup. Because saps have just been figured out at this point, far more so than they were back then. Maybe there's some other way to be completely inept offensively that we just aren't realizing right now for player characters, but it may be that nowadays this is kind of the only way to do it. Rely on the CPUs with this setup right here. So at this point, yeah, I think we're looking at a 20-minute match. Again, I didn't set a timer for this, but I think it's somewhere around there. But it also just speaks to how crazy long a 40-minute match is. We're only halfway there now, or at least thereabouts. And this one feels like it's been going on for forever. That is just insane. Imagine being one of the people playing in a 40-minute long match and having to stay locked in for that long. Oh, hey, Lilac, how's it going? How are you? Yeah, so Greg and Amir were stopping by, and they said they had this interesting technique that they wanted to demonstrate. A rather unique way to play Pyre.
Well cast.
You had french fries that were completely flat and round. I mean, you are aware that french fries are made from potatoes, correct? Which typically are round. Not flat.
Didn't see it coming.
That is true. For a second there, I was like, did you just describe a potato? Not quite, not quite. What is this? An offensive plate? No, we can't have any of that. Yeah, I mean, there are various ways in which people have experimented with the French fry idea, right? Obviously, you have the thin fry-like shape we're all accustomed to. But then, in other things that are at least French fry inspired, you'll get like waffle French fry shapes sometimes. It's pretty cool. Stuff like hash browns, tots. Hey, Napoleon, give me some of your tots. What a beautiful and diverse world we live in. So many different French fries. And I mean, if you're feeling bold... Oh, hold on.
'Twas but a little splash.
Well, the Essence are feeling bold here. Don't call it a comeback. Because if we do, then we will be here for years. But if you are feeling so bold, you could even experiment with the different things that you dip your fries in. Because obviously there's standard stuff. I mean, you could just eat them plain, but... What are you? Mad? You have the ketchup. What, do some people do mustard? Is that a thing? Relish? Maybe. I feel like I'm just naming condiments that may or may not actually ever be used with French fries. Ketchup is obviously far and away number one in that regard, but then you get some fancier types of dips and sauces, which are harder to come by, maybe, or at least harder to come by good types of dips and sauces, but there are some pretty good ones out there. Ice cream is probably not one that I have seen very often. I don't know if I've ever tried that myself. Obviously, that means you have many choices of ice cream flavor you could do. I know, I'm saying, like, the tater tots, they're inspired by it, though. They're very similar. They're French fry adjacent, you know? I was gonna say, yeah, so best flavor ice cream to combine with French fries. Coffee probably would not have been something I would have thought of. I mean, if you're talking just the basics, I think coffee's a pretty... It's not like that top tier of most fundamental ice cream flavors, but it might be just below that. If you're talking like the absolute fundamentals of vanilla, chocolate, strawberry, I feel like is maybe the next one on the list for most common ice cream flavors. Among those, chocolate plus French fries feels weird to me. I'm sure, well, you could dip French fries in chocolate sauce if you really wanted to. Not fudge, but I don't know, I'm just not feeling that right now. I feel like vanilla would maybe be a little bit of a better starting point. And then if you want to throw things in the... Licorice ice cream? Black licorice ice cream? Is that what you mean? Ooh. I'm not a bit... Maybe you can't... Maybe you couldn't tell. But I'm not a huge black licorice guy. Wait, I'm curious then, Lilac. What are your thoughts on... There is a particular combination for many, many sweets in the Scandinavia/Norse country region that I was not fond of, but apparently it's a huge deal to people in that part of the world. It's black licorice inside of chocolate. What are your thoughts on this? I had never even considered such an idea until I found myself in one of these countries. And honestly, it was hard to avoid at that point. It is absolutely everywhere.
Zap.
As someone who is not a big fan of black licorice, it was not a good starting point. And then I was not particularly thrilled about the combination either. So it was not exactly a plus for me. But, I mean, clearly to some people, that is a combination that is great, because it caught on. I mean, there are people who like black licorice. It's a very strong flavor, obviously. So I guess anytime you have something with a very strong flavor, you're always going to have people who like it and people who don't. People are probably going to be quite opinionated. They're going to have firm beliefs in that area. Then it also means strong flavors are hard to combine with other things. Because similarly, there's probably going to be stuff that I mean, in general, you get multiple things with strong flavors, you combine them together, and they're oftentimes just going to fight each other. It's hard to get those flavors to work well together. So usually, I think you go for one strong flavor and several complementary flavors, if you'd like, but that's why black licorice alone is divisive. And then combine it with other things on top of that, and only going to be even more divisive still, in all likelihood. When will our suffering end? Greg and Amir are in purgatory. This is true. At this rate... Has this been half an hour? They may have been going for half an hour at this point. Not sure exactly when we started. But they may have been banished to the double downside. I may or may not have been alluding to a Super Kerr matchup earlier that was the inspiration for this right here. That may or may not have been what got this whole idea started. Well, anyways, yeah, let me know if anyone would like to get in on the action, as I'm sure that Amir and Greg would be more than willing to step aside to let other people try playing their game. And if anyone was wondering, hey, what happens if you put 3 level 5 CPUs against each other at the Fall of Solium with nothing but Kerrs, with no masteries and no talismans? This is your answer. Imagine being the Kerrs. I mean, that's what I was saying earlier was, I mean, this is, at the moment, I think roughly a half-hour-long match. But this, even now, would not be the longest match ever in RITE NITE. It wouldn't even crack the top 3, I don't think. We legitimately have had multiple matches that have been 40 minutes or longer, with real human beings on both sides. And I think that just speaks to the crazy amount of focus that you would need, and endurance you would need, to be able to play Pyre repeatedly, you know, non-stop for 40 minutes straight. Jerry, you're not wrong. Although, I mean, then again, I mean, anything in games that is CPU controlled is, in a way, quote-unquote AI, right? Even though CPU-controlled characters in games probably long predated us using the term AI, at least in that context.
Well cast.
Obviously, it's Greg and Amir. What do you mean? How's it going, Jer? How are you? You have, of course, stumbled across a bit of a cruel experiment that we have been conducting. Good to see you, Jer. Fun fact, for those who... I don't know if anyone knows. Well, I probably mentioned this once in passing before. But, before I joined RITE Club, which, yes, I know some people may be like, what? Vids? Before you joined RITE Club? No, RITE Club is Failer's server. It is not my server, first of all. But that's not the story here. Before I joined RITE Club, after I finished playing the Pyre campaign and I saw that there was a multiplayer mode and I was intrigued, curious about what it would be like to play it and logistically how one goes about doing that, I was in need of another amigo to play multiplayer Pyre with, to test things out, to see if it worked, and to see if it would be any fun. And, well, several years ago, Jer was in fact that amigo. So in a way, and not even in a very direct way, I would likely never have joined RITE Club or done any multiplayer Pyre stuff if not for Jer testing things out with me all those years ago. Been playing a knockoff Pokemon app and one of the creatures is just called Taser. Blade. Laser. Blazer. And Taser. No, Jer. You had no... You were not responsible for this monstrosity that we are witnessing right now. I will take full responsibility. Well, I'll take 75% of the responsibility for this, and I may divert 25% of that responsibility over to the person who did inspire me. Well, anyways, yeah, as I was saying, if anyone is interested in getting in on the action, let me know, because at this point I think we are starting to get somewhat close to this being the longest RITE ever. We're still a few minutes away, though, and technically this is a one-score game at this point. If the Fate are to get a full or near full damage score, they would finish it here. We were not cruel enough to give anyone any rekindling or leech or extra starting Pyre life, so technically, as I was saying earlier, we could have made this even longer had we done any of that stuff. Maybe at this rate people are thinking, Vids, why stop now? One more score and we'll have actually been able to say that this match is done. We finished it. Maybe people actually do want to see this through to the end at this rate. Well done, Jer.
Somebody get the orb.
I feel like that is a statement that is maybe applicable to this entire match. A great way to summarize the whole thing.
Bad boy, Parker.
See, the thing is, for those who are thinking, oh, it's just a one-score game. Fate only need to get one more score and then it'll be over. Sure, we can see this through to the end. I don't think you were watching for the previous 38 minutes. There's a reason why it took this long.
Doberman banished.
So it's not as if that's really any indication of how close or far we may be from the ending.
Unfortunate for Talbot.
Oh, also, we've gone this entire nearly 40-minute long match, and it didn't even occur to me that the random song that we happened to get here was Thrashback, which does feel especially fitting, given that it is basically the theme song of the Kerr Captain. Technically, he is, despite being a captain of a team who is a cur, he is actually the captain of what is the team represented, or that is representative of the imp scribe. So technically kind of the imp team in a way, even though they don't have a single imp, but that's not important. That's an aside.
Glorious.
I mean, technically, it is the Dissidents. That is Aoub's team. You know, I think the reason for it, I don't know if I've ever really put two and two together in this way before. So, yes, all the scribes have a team, including Aoub, the imp. And his team is the Dissidents, which consists entirely of curs, which thematically doesn't make much sense. However, from a narrative standpoint, it might be a necessity, because canonically, the imps cannot be understood by anyone unless they are Tizo. And so, having the captain of the team, the character who does all the smack talk, at the beginning of the match be an imp, wouldn't work unless that person is Tizo, which obviously you'd have to totally reshape the narrative in order for that to be the case. Unless it's another imp who can also speak in an understandable way like Tizo, in which case that also kind of detracts from Tizo. Or you have the whole Tizo dynamic play out earlier. Because can the reader understand other imps like Messenger Imp? Or was it truly just Tizo? What's up? Dr. Nefariously Handsome. That is a fantastic name. There are Pyre tournaments indeed. Or at least, it's been a little while since we last had one, but not even that long ago. We've done, what, Solium Cup? Then we started going in order. So we did Solium, Golothanian, Jomir, and we did Aoub was the most recent one, right? So we've done 4. 4 official ones through RITE Club, and then we've had a few offshoots here and there. Yeah, and the reader also doesn't really understand Tizo literally, just kind of interprets his chirping. And I got the impression that that's kind of a unique dynamic to Tizo. Maybe the reader can sort of do that for other imps as well to a lesser extent, but I'm not sure we ever see that at all. So you'd have to really detract from the uniqueness of Tizo. And the reason why that is unique to Tizo, I think, is because Tizo is not supposed to be any ordinary imp. He is actually a direct descendant of the scribe, Aoub. So he is basically imp royalty. So if you were to suddenly elevate some random imp to Tizo's level, then Tizo is less significant, and that detracts from the story. Detracts from Tizo's character. So you'd kind of have to do a whole bunch of things, one or more things, to mess with either Tizo's character or the overarching narrative, and affecting when Tizo is introduced, when the main character starts to understand Tizo. You have to accelerate all those things in order for the main character, the reader, to be able to understand an opposing non-Tizo imp at that stage of the story. Which may be the reason why Supergiant, the developers, just said, you know what, that's not really something that we want to do. So instead, we're just going to have there still be a team that represents the imp scribe, but we're not going to have any imps on that team. Stowaway does kind of communicate with Tizo to an extent, although that might be kind of similar to what you were just describing with the reader, where it's not so much direct communication as much as sort of interpreting what each other are saying or doing.
Out with Rookie.
By the way, what is the gameplay here? Like, why are we just playing all dogs and stalling? That's a great question. This is usually we would be going a human player against another human player.
No sign of the essence for the
Hold on, but there we go. The match is finally over. Stop your stopwatches. I hadn't started mine in the first place, but I think at that point that got somewhere around 45 minutes, which means we're free, finally. But that was probably right around the time of the longest write ever. I would have to see what the exact timer was, but it was, I think, pretty close. Yeah, as you will soon see, that was just a silly little meme that we were doing. It was 2 computer-controlled teams with a maximum difficulty setting, but we did not give them any masteries, nor did we give them any talismans, and we deliberately put them on the largest arena just to see how long it would take either of the teams to win. And the answer was, I think, roughly 45 minutes. I would be kind of interested to go back and check just how long exactly it was, but something like that. And if anyone, if an actual person would like to hop in for our next matches, then let me know. Happy to get you in at this stage. And that is the link to the RITE Club. Thank you, Lilac. Dr. Nefariously Handsome would be down to join. Oh, this is true. Unfortunately, the nature of Pyre multiplayer is that it doesn't, well, for the most part, it doesn't really let us have 2 keyboard mouse players playing against each other. Generally speaking, we want to have at least one person who is playing on controller. And as Lilac is a keyboard mouse player, I imagine that is why Lilac is asking, oh, but you're on controller, okay. So, hold on, let me just double check. Who was interested in getting in? I imagine somewhere along the way Lilac was saying, let's see. We got a little sidetracked with a number of things, but were you looking to get in as well, Lilac? Lilac's looking to get in. And then Dr. Nefariously Handsome, if you would like to get in, we could get you as well. All you'll need to do is, if you have joined said Discord server, then you will find my Steam friend code is in the pinned messages, and you can use that to send me a friend request on Steam, because we do need to be friended on Steam in order for me to get you in. Just give you a sec. Okay, no worries. Let me reset this stuff, and maybe I'll get Lilac in while we're at it.
I believe that I have made sure that my copy of Pyre still has all its textures in place.
Ah, well, I think technically you're playing on my copy of Pyre, so I think you'll be fine, but I am not really sure, because that's not something that I have often found myself testing.
I'm assuming you're aware of what I'm referring to.
Yes, you also may or may not have been the person who I was alluding to before, who inspired me to to conduct the experiment that we just witnessed.
I was busy with other stuff at that point, but I'm honored to have been alluded to.
But just so you know, I'm taking 75% responsibility for having just done that, but I'm passing off the other 25% responsibility to you.
I'm thank you so much. This is the greatest day of my life.
In the Black Wagon. Pinned messages in the Black Wagon. If you scroll down, you should find one of those that has my Steam friend code, which you can use to send me a Steam friend request. After which, I can get you in here and we can go Dr. Nefariously Handsome against Lilac. Yeah, also Lilac needs to play on keyboard mouse so that Lilac can tippity tap away on that keyboard voraciously.
Of course.
Just let me know when you are ready for me to
You
send
can also
you.
join. You can also join the voice chat if
True.
that makes it easier for you.
Oh, I think I just got it. Just give me a sec.
We've got another one, gang. We've captured another one in our clutches.
What kind of Pokeball did we use?
The orb, obviously.
The orb. What kind of Pokeball is the orb?
Good question.
There are enough varieties of Pokeballs nowadays that there probably is one that's thematically fitting.
Maybe the
Color-wise, I feel like the Ultra Ball is a pretty good fit. No, Master Ball is the one I'm thinking of color-wise.
there's the Great Ball. It's blue.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if there's any star-themed Pokeball or anything like that.
I looked it up. There is unfortunately not.
Oof. Someone get Game Freak on the line. Someone call up the Nintendo company, please. The Pokemon company? I don't know, man. What it's... The Pokemon
This is so
company,
sad.
and then Game Freak makes the games, but they're published through Nintendo. I don't know. Something like that.
This is so sad, so let's play Despacito.
No.
I did find a Lunala-themed Pokeball 3D model that someone made.
That might be the closest thing.
I posted it in the Black Wagon chat.
Yeah, that's probably it.
What I will be the fate? What triumvirate would you like to be, Dr. Nefariously Handsome?
Do you have a preferred team? Never used Steam Remote Play before. Okay. All you really need to know is, well, should work much like whenever you are playing on your own system. Just when I tab out of the game, you'll end up getting a little pop-up like this. Don't panic, that just means I'm pressing things on the streaming software side in all likelihood. Yeah, the withdrawn would be the one based on the snakes, if you want to go that route. That can be arranged. Sure? Okay. And And then what should I put as your name? Because I'm gonna be honest with you, Dr. Nefariously Handsome, as great as that name is not going to fit. So we're gonna need something shorter than that. I did not expect that, but that is an amazing way to shorten the name. All right.
Respect.
Okay. Well, let's see. Other things. We should not have either of you on CPU. There we go. Okay, so other things to note. Technically, we do have a modded version of Pyre. Mostly, the mods that we have are to remove various sorts of bugs. Beyond that, we have a few things that are just visual, little bonuses. But the biggest thing that would affect you is that we have modded in additional exiles. They are functionally the same as any other exile within the same class. It's a way to get us, for example,
We have
3
Gareth.
demons, 3 savages, so on and so forth. And that'll be more obvious once we get to the next page. So why don't we hop in? What's up, iRotor? How's it going? You may or may not have just gained another member of your squad, iRotor.
The fate
Dr. Nefariously Handsome, aka Doc Hot.
welcome.
I was almost going to shorten your name to Handsome Jack, but that's pretty close. Your answer was pretty close. Alright, so now this is Lilac. Oh, Lilac, I didn't check. Do you have controls or do I need to activate those?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay, so now, Lilac, can you just scroll over the modded exiles real quick, just to show those? So yeah, the bottom row there, those are all the modded exiles. So for example, like if you just stay on one of them, like so Gareth here is a savage. He is statistically the same as the other savages. It's just a way for you to have 3 savages on your team if you want, because without the mods, that wouldn't be possible. There would only be 2 playable savages in versus mode. So that's the main reason behind that. As I was saying, other than that, mostly just some various bug fixes and a few things that are largely just for the aesthetics. So Lilac will go Rookie in the first spot. I swear, if you guys go triple Cur against triple Cur after what we just witnessed, I'm not going to be happy. Please just don't do that. No worries. Doc Hot. So yes, now you can take whatever you want here. We'll do Snake Grandma. Up to you.
My name is Edwin. I built the Mimic. It was difficult to put the pieces together. That is a reference to a song that you probably have not heard.
Usually I'm the guy pulling out the obscure song references, but this time you have me beat.
It's a reference to... I'm assuming you know what Five Nights at Freddy's is.
Yeah.
It is a reference to a Five Nights at Freddy's fan song.
Oh
that
dear.
It's not very good, and so it quickly became a meme. And
Oh
one
dear.
of the parts of the song is, "My name is Edwin. I built the Mimic. It was difficult to put the pieces together."
That's true Shakespearean prose right there. So I'm the host, and I'm in the US. Northeastern US, for what it's worth. So as the US goes, I'm fairly close to Europe. But obviously there is that thing called the Atlantic Ocean. Alright, so it is Bertrude in the first spot for Doc Hot. Is that also one of the lines, Lilac?
Yes, it is. Exploding Grandpa.
Lilac, what did I say?
You said don't do triple cur against triple cur? Was it specifically no triple cur at all, or was it like no 6 curs? Genuinely asking. Genuinely asking.
And no worries. Yeah, hopefully it's not too bad, but you know, we don't take things, in case you couldn't tell from us doing a 45-ish minute match of CPUs against CPUs, we don't take things too seriously around here. Yes, every once in a while we may break out some special events, tournaments, and the like, which maybe those get a little more competitive, but outside of those, we're just having some fun. We're just messing around sometimes.
This is the first time in a while that I've seen anything CPU related occur during RITE Night.
Well, it's pretty unusual. Obviously, for the most part, the reason why we wouldn't do it is because time spent with CPUs playing is time not spent with players, and so usually we want to maximize the amount of time with actual people playing actual games.
See, I didn't do triple cur.
I appreciated that. So obviously, from a lag standpoint, a latency standpoint, there are people who are closer to me and people who are further away from me. Right now, you know, if you're across the ocean, then obviously you may be a little bit further away, but we have a mixture of people from different places in the RITE Club, so Lilac may have comparatively less latency than you do right now, but there are other people who may be in a similar boat to you. Here we go. Our first match. Our first real match of today's RITE Night. And our first match ever with Dr. Nefariously Handsome, aka Doc Hot. Welcome to the RITE Club. So Lilac got us started with a 20 damage Cur Plunge with Rookie, but with no prayer beads, he is gone in this round. Lilac, though, coming back with a Crone Plunge, however, with Stubborn Flame active for Doc Hot, that does reduce Lilac's damage by 10, so just 20, rather than the usual 30. Lilac, little hesitation move there, then gets back in for another Cur Plunge, though Cur Plunge with Stubborn Flame, that means just 10 damage. Cutting Lilac's damage in half, and that is pretty noticeable. Lilac does it again, though. That means down one Rookie. Here's Bertrude. Trying to snake her way around. Oh, with Vital Pounce, it actually procs there. Which you don't see be that big of a an effect all that often, but it did help. Lilac did get in there for a 20 damage score. Except with Stubborn Flame, it means that Lilac actually would not be able to finish it with 1 score. At least not without Bertrude. But after that 30 damage Crone score from Doc Hot, that means Bertrude has returned for Lilac. It would need to be Bertrude, it would need to be maximum damage. Anything else would come up just shy. Here's Lilac plunging with the Cur, and yes, obviously now any of the Curs could also finish the job, but still needs 1 more score, and there it is. GG.
Twas as though the scribes themselves stood by their side.
Well played, you two.
The rite is complete.
Alright, let's head on back. That gives you a little taste of what it's like
Rite.
to do some Steam Remote Play multiplayer Pyre. Yeah, if you're good to stick around longer, Doc Hot, you're welcome to do so.
How about I?
Oh, Doc Hot's
Shake
saying,
things up.
what, too much latency?
Ooh. Well,
Sometimes, I mean, Steam Remote Play is a fickle beast. So, sometimes there's just days when the Steam Remote Play performance is worse than others. And today may just be one of those days. It may be that we're just far enough away that it's going to be hard to make it work in general. But sometimes, if I uninvite and then re-invite people, that may make things a little bit better. It may just be given another shot will make things a little bit better. Though iRotor is pointing us to potentially some remote play settings that may help as well. But if you wanna just spectate, that works too. I'm just saying, if you want to give it another shot, we can potentially do that. Alright, let's, here's what I'll do. I'm gonna boot you from Steam Remote Play, and then I'm gonna re-invite you.
and I am going to shake things up a little.
Hmm?
However, you do reserve the right to decline this request
Oh.
if you don't want to.
I feel like this is not a good idea when Doc Hot is
That
this
is a
new
good
to
point.
multiplayer Pyre.
I have a backup plan then. The classic.
Indeed. iRotor says, Doc Hot, if you put your video quality setting to fast under Steam Remote Play client settings, that may be helpful. Yeah, maybe. No, obviously, this all came about relatively quickly, so we can give you a little taste today, and then maybe in the meantime, you can look into a few different ways to optimize and maybe that'll make things a little bit better in the future. So maybe we just keep it simple for now. We did get a request for us to play at The Boat, the Hulk of Orez arena. Oh, would you look at that?
The fate shall take on the withdrawal.
You see that, Lilac?
Welcome Who shall conduct?
Yes.
A fellow
Yes.
boat enjoyer. Lilac's going with a speedy Vids.
Lids,
Mm-hmm. What?
I have a question.
Uh-oh. What?
Where did the boat emote go?
One sec. Oh, no worries, Chair. Good luck on your dives. We have now the animated boat emote.
I see. Unfortunately, it does not seem to be accessible to me. You've rendered me boatless, Lids.
I think it's unlockable. Can you pay lid coin to get access to it? Does it let you do that for the animated ones?
It doesn't let you do it for the animated ones.
No!
How could you do this to me, Lids?
I didn't know it did that! I had to make an animated boat emote.
But at what cost?
But then I thought it would free up spots for other non-animated emotes. It was a calculated plan. I thought it was the optimal way to go about doing things.
I'll never recover from this.
You rarely used the boat emote, though.
Okay, you do have a point there. What kind of hair products do you think a Jomer uses?
Jomir?
Mm-hmm.
I think he's all natural.
Dang.
I think that's how he became a scribe. People saw his hair game and they were just like, we can't top this. Let's make him our leader. Well, it is triple demon on Lilac's side. It is a cur, a savage. Now a legendary talisman Bertrude in the last spot for Doc Hot. So here we go. Another matchup between Lilac and Doc Hot, this time on the boat. Lilac perhaps trying to invoke the boat magic gods. Just how much boat magic will Lilac be able to access here, though? Not much on that occasion, but it does still set up a 30 damage plunge. Lilac retreats with Iggy. That looked like negative boat magic on that occasion. It reduced the range of Lilac's jump. There is Jody knocking back the defenders, and with Kerfang, that means that is higher damage, 38 on that score. It also means no Jody in this round. Well, unfortunately for Lilac, all the boat magic is triggering when you're going backwards, it seems. To an extent like that. Oh, that one might have been an overjump. That's a 30 damage plunge, and that does drop Doc Hot down to 2, so that means 1 score. Very likely all that Lilac would need here. it's the score that Lilac cares about right now as much as it's boat magic.
Banished all of them.
But everyone down on Lilac's side, there is a window here for Doc Hawk. Plunging in for 15 with the Cur. However, Lilac took a bunch of starting Pyre life with those Demon Masteries. That was an interesting boat magic.
There we go.
I don't know what we just witnessed there. It's like we were on the Pit of Malith with all the pinballing action. With that score, Lilac takes the win.
The fate prevails.
Chi-Chi?
That's what I like to see.
Specifically that jump.
The ceremony
Exactly,
is complete.
specifically that jump.
Alright, well played, you two.
Until the stars
GG's.
align.
Let's head on back. Ooh, delay was even worse. Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, right now we're streaming the multiplayer Pyre stuffs, and as I said, I'm the host, and I'm based in the US, but we do have other people in the RITE Club who may very well be playing at other points in time, and therefore there could also, and I may not be involved at all in those, and so there may be other hosts, and those hosts may be European, in which case you may be able to get better connection that way. So there may be other better opportunities for you if the internets are not working out so well under these circumstances. Wired internet connection can help as well, if possible.
This is true.
Alright, let me free you from Steam Remote Play. Assuming that Dr. Nefariously Handsome, I take that to mean that you're looking to swap out now? You know what? One more. You'll love to see it. No, don't worry about it. One thing I will say, every single time without failure, when we get new people introduced to multiplayer Pyre, it is a steep learning curve because we've been doing this for a while, and we've had lots of time to experiment with different setups and optimize around different ways to play, ways that just you never see in the campaign. So when someone is first being introduced to this new style, there's usually a pretty steep learning curve, but it also means that the rate at which people improve once they start playing multiplayer Pyre is rapid. So don't take it personally in any way if you feel like, oh man, this is tough. That is always the case, but it is pretty crazy how quickly and how dramatically we have seen people improve after having played multiplayer. Even just watching multiplayer Pyre, you start to understand what types of setups people like to use and why those are effective. Even if you're not playing yourself, that's just good information to have in the back of your mind as you're starting to do some of that stuff yourself. But that is true, Jared. It's been a while, but we did make a tabletop Pyre game a few years ago at this point that, to be honest, mostly I did because so many people were asking about, hey, I'd like to make a tabletop Pyre game, but I can't get a group together to do it. And so eventually there were enough of those people that it just felt like, all right, let's round those people together, let's scheme something up, and let's make it happen. And we made it happen. We set up the rules for it, but then at that point, we never actually ended up using them at all. But that is also pinned. Our rule set is pinned in the Black Wagon, one of those messages there. You can check that out. So, I don't know, if anyone wants to, you guys are welcome to take that and run with it. But I have not really been involved much since then. Jer was involved at and then we've had, you know, various other people from the RITE Club who were helping out with that along the way. But okay, why don't we hop in for another one here? It sounds like Doc Hot is saying one more time.
The fate shall confront the withdrawn. Welcome. Who
Yeah, as I
shall
said,
conduct the rites?
there's a pinned message in the Black Wagon channel
Tizo.
that has a rule set we made up, I don't know, 3 years ago, maybe? At this point, it's been a little while. But obviously we tested things out a bit as we were building it, but we didn't really have, it's not as if we then immediately went into a campaign or anything like that. So I don't know if anyone's actually used it. But if anyone is interested, obviously we have a group of people who are interested in Pyre, and every once in a while people do bring up the topic of tabletop as well.
Hold on 1 second. 1 second.
Orale.
So yeah, if there were a place to... We already have the tools to do it, I guess is what I'm saying. And may have the community that would be interested in doing so. Just not sure if it's been at the top of people's minds much over the past however many years. So it could be possible to rally a group together for that sort of thing. One moment while I pick up a controller. If you're on an Xbox controller, A.
Well,
Sorry about that, I have returned.
No worries. Wait, no, I lied. I lied. It's not A. Wait, that's Switch. What is it? It's B? Someone bail me out here. Now I'm thinking about it. It's X. Ignore everything that I've said. Listen to iRotor. It's X. One of those things where you stare at the controller, you're like, what button do I press to do that thing? I don't really think about it. iRotor is definitely right. Listen to iRotor, not me.
Ignatius.
Yeah, I think I did kind of have an overarching concept for the narrative of a campaign for when we were designing the tabletop. We might have used little fragments of it as we were testing out certain parts, but as I said, never really did it for very long out, and it was only ever in the context of brief little testing sessions, so... Yeah, we had many discussions about that, and I think we found that trying to recreate the rites would just be incredibly difficult, because then it's not so much a traditional, you know, D&D style as much as it's recreating sports in a turn-based way. So that felt like that was a little too unique for us to be able to handle it. So instead, we went a little bit more of a traditional
I just realized
approach.
you are triple demon. Oh my.
It is triple demon against triple imp. Lilac did pop in there for a plunge, but is now Tizo-less. So yeah, I think ultimately there was some... There's 25 damage plunge there again for Lilac. There was some form of a tabletop game that we used as sort of like the primary inspiration, so it's fairly similar to something, but I don't remember what the name of it is. It's not like it's,
Not the messenger.
you know, 5E or whatever the various types of D&D are. I don't remember what the naming methodology is for D&D, but it's not D&D. It is tabletop of a different variety, and there is some other simpler type of tabletop that was our primary source of inspiration, and then obviously we pyrified it in various ways. But, you know, I think a lot of times, from my perspective at least, what I was seeing was fairly often I would see people say, oh, I started making my own Pyre tabletop thing, or I'd be interested in making this type of Pyre tabletop thing, and all of those things seem to just hit a roadblock, a barrier, probably in part because it was just one person working on them in all these instances, or it was just people who were very eager to do that sort of thing, but also very ambitious and may have set their sights a little bit too high. May have tried to take on more than they were able to complete. So I think part of our approach was also in the interest of actually being able to create a finished product. May not be the most elaborate, most sophisticated of systems, but we wanted to have something. Something complete and usable. I think we landed on that, but admittedly, it's been a while. Well, everyone down on Lilac's side here, so there is time for Doc Hot to plunge here for 25. But it does mean no Orlek in this round. It's been a while since I even looked at our documentation for that stuff. Ooh, everyone down on Doc Hot's side this time, so uncontested throwing opportunity here for Lilac, who gets it in for 25, and since we have seen several, if not all of these imps, have the extra damage mastery, it is possible for Lilac to finish this with one score. Obviously, it'd need to be just about maximum damage in that case, but Doc Hot's only 2 scores away. That was a race to Doc Hot's Pyre. Doc Hot able to cut off Lilac, though. For a moment there, Lilac was defenseless, but the imps are back. And now Lilac, the uncontested scoring opportunity, and that one is enough to take the win.
Their pyre burns, whilst that of their adversaries is but ash.
GG.
The rite is done.
All right. Well, let's head on back.
Until the next rite.
Yeah, no worries. No worries, Dr. Nefariously Handsome. As I said, it may be that, you know, if you can find someone else who's closer to you to host, or you host yourself, of course, then it may make things a lot better on your end. It may just be that Steam Remote Play is having a rough day today, and regardless of how close or far you are, wherever you are, I believe that our hearts will go on. No, Celine, step aside. No, it may just be that Steam Remote Play is having a rough day today, so tomorrow it would just magically be better. Sometimes that happens. But anyways.
I beg your pardon. Who's Celine?
Excuse me?
I thought you said. I thought for a second you were speaking to someone named Celine.
That's because I was, yes.
And who is that?
One of the most talented and renowned singers of all time, Miss Celine Dion.
What?
Okay, you can't tell me you've never heard of Celine Dion before, please.
Okay, then I won't.
No, Lilac, come on. It's the famous song from Titanic, which was for a very
never
long
watched
time the most successful
Titanic.
movie ever for sales.
I've never watched Titanic.
And it is sung by Celine Dion, who is maybe not, I mean, sure, she's not at the absolute top of the all-time record sales lists, but I think many would say she is among the most talented / successful singers of all time, nonetheless.
I see. Well, now I know who that is.
Yes, that I would highly encourage you to go listen to that song. It is very good, very famous, and she is a very good singer. Alright, well, Doc Hot, thank you very much for giving it a shot, and as I was saying, you know, I know this was difficult on your end from an internet standpoint, but hopefully I wouldn't take this as a sign that you should just give up on multiplayer Pyre altogether. If you can either find someone who is closer to you who can host, or you host yourself, then I think you could still find that multiplayer Pyre could be your type of thing. But either way, glad we could get you in there. It does mean that we are probably looking for someone else to hop in Doc Hot's place. Yeah, I also don't want to volunteer where other people live for them, but if other people are comfortable sharing that information, then of course they may be able to coordinate some of that stuff with you.
Also, if there are 2 players that want to get in, I'm also good to swap out.
Alright, well, let us know if there is 1 or maybe even 2 people who would like to get in on the action here.
I saw a rotor and Baylor, I think.
I think we have seen both of them, yeah? Jer, if you want to get in after being out of Pyre for a long time, you're welcome to as well. Of course, anyone can get in. Just let us know. But I think we're looking for at least 1 to face off against Lilac. Lilac is also volunteering to swap out if we have 2. Or we could do Lilac against Amir.
Oh?
No, let's not do that.
Darn.
I think Amir had to go to a meeting.
Of course, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's already played his allotment of Pyre today. Can you pause in Subnautica? Is that a thing, or is it one of those games that if you open up the menu, everything is still happening around you and bad things can happen? Because I feel like it would be one of those games. Yeah, I'm kind of curious to take another look at the tabletop stuff, because it has been a while. As I said, I think I kind of still remember the overarching... what's the right word to describe it? The conflict? The problem that I was thinking could be the basis for a campaign for that tabletop? But that's an aside. Let us know if anyone is interested in getting in here. That's true as well. We spend a lot of time thinking about different options for it. As I said, we may have landed on something that I think by tabletop standards would generally be considered fairly simple, but it was not for lack of experimenting with other potential choices. We did explore many options. potentially even pull it up right now. Just see. Pinned messages. Where is it? Here it is.
I'm back. Is anyone choosing to hop in?
No one has
Oh my
volunteered
goodness.
just
Google
yet.
Doc. Yeah, I think I read this.
Yeah, wait, when was this? Hold on. Do we have a date here? No, but the Discord message must have a date, right? That is 2021. Oh, wow. That's older than I realized. Yeah, that's almost 5 years old now. Wow. As I was saying, I didn't really remember exactly, but I thought it was more along the lines of 3. Yeah, we had a few different artists. We had someone who volunteered to help us out with some art who was quite good. Who... This person.
I think one of the artists like posted it on social media somewhere. If I
Yeah,
can
I think
find
they
it.
were sort of coming in first from the perspective of being a Pyre artist, and they did... I think they did the Jody, they did the Fulfred, and they did the Gilman. I did this, and I did that, and I think
Nice.
Panzer did this. Yeah, and this one is an emote, but it's another one of those obscure ones. It's what, the 1K emote, I think?
The elusive Lids rookie.
Indeed.
Welcome.
Oh, Dr. Nefariously Handsome, thank you for the follow. Hope you're enjoying the stream. Obviously, you're welcome to stick around in chat if you'd like, even if you're not playing. We didn't see it too much, but in those matches, obviously, for the most part, we were just having you guys take whatever teams you want, but we do also generally take requests from chat. Could be for things like characters, weapon... Wrong game. Characters, talismans, masteries, arenas, songs. We even have some fancy things called archetypes that we have made as well. So, various ways that you can influence the outcome of, or at least the setup of the matches, even if you are not directly participating in them yourself. This is the information for the Pyre tabletop, and this is it. It's just this really 7-page, not even 7-page, really 6-page worth of content document. So as I said, it's pretty simple. But this is on the RITE Club Discord server. If you go into the Black Wagon channel, pinned messages, you will find it there. Test you ran, we did very like a D&D campaign, dice roller and a tool. Oh, right, I remember, yeah, at one point we used some software or something like that that was set up for D&D that we used to roll. And yeah, I forgot about that. I also remember obviously I was among those who were helping to design that tabletop, and I remember at the time, people were like, Lids, what tabletop experience do you have? And I was like, good question. And at the time, I didn't really know the answer to that, and then later on, only like years later did I realize, oh yeah, all these other things that you've done, yeah, those are tabletop games, and they didn't come to mind, / I didn't put them in that bucket in my brain, So people at the time were all like, Lids, what the heck are you talking about? You have no you have no right to be working on this thing. You don't know what you're talking about. When in fact it was, oh yeah, no, I have done these sorts of things. I just didn't even realize it. So, hindsight 2020, probably would have been worth mentioning some of those things, but alas. Because yeah, I haven't really done much of the... I don't think I've ever done D&D, the poster child of tabletop stuff. But I've done various other things that are, I think, technically still tabletop of a different variety. Turns out that D&D isn't the only tabletop thing. Actually having figures that you put on a tabletop in a turn-based combat game, by most accounts, would be considered tabletop RPG. Who would have thunk? Not Lids 5 years ago. Oh, right. Warhammer is tabletop RPG. Oh, right. Lord of the Rings tabletop. Yeah, no, that's a tabletop RPG as well. Oh, those other games I played like Shadowrun. Yeah, no, that's basically tabletop RPG. Jenniforge, if that means anything to anyone. I think that probably fits the bill as well. That's a good one. Well, anyways, this is, again, mostly an aside. Let me know if anyone is actually interested in playing Pyre, the video game, as we do have room for at least one person to hop in here. I mean, I suppose I could hop in the other spot if we don't have anyone, but it's not a real tabletop RPG, but yeah. No, I did at least one of the Shadowrun games, and the one that I did was very good. Really well written. Based on a tabletop RPG. Right, so like, you know, how much of a stickler are you when it comes to what does and does not qualify as tabletop RPG? I think maybe that was it at the time when we were first making the Pyre tabletop RPG, I was adopting a very strict definition, so I was thinking, you know, I don't really have that much experience on this topic, but I've done some similar things. Just don't press me for details. But, you know, if you take a little bit more of a loose definition of it, then, yeah, I've done a few things. Alright, I am not immediately seeing anyone else looking to hop in here. Let me know if anyone is interested, but in the absence of that, I think I'll jump in for a little bit here.
Oh.
They're in the Black Wagon, pinned messages, and it's down from 2021, so it's just above the one that has my Steam friend code, it looks like. I really didn't think it was that long ago. Wow. Okay, let me plug this thing in. Switch my team. Oh, right, I forgot. I'm the only person on controller right now, so... Oh, or am I? Wait, what? What the heck?
Hmm?
Where's this other controller coming from? Oh, no!
What? What?
The curse is applying to me,
What?
too?
What?
How do I have 2 controllers? One moment. Let's unplug what I swear is a single plug for a single controller.
They might toast.
And now it's maybe just one controller, even though it's exactly the same thing that I just plugged back in? I don't know, man. And now it's fine. Maybe it's best not to ask questions. Okay. Let's hop in here. Oh, actually, whoa, I was about to say, Lilac, you had the archetypes request earlier that we opted out of. So in a way, we still have that in the queue, but then again, if we roll archetypes, I know what your archetype is, because I'm the one doing the rolling, so I don't really think that works. But if we get someone else in my place, we could go back to that archetype match. I think the beta version is basically what we ended up with, because as I said, we kind of we got a functional version, and then we just sort of stopped from there. There was a lot of thought and testing that went into that initial version, but it's not like we had a line of people waiting out the door the moment that we said it's done. So we probably anticipated that theoretically at some points there may be people who would play and then give us feedback, and maybe we'd tweak it, and then at that point we'd call it something other than beta, but I don't know. I wouldn't read too much into that label, I guess. Maybe the whole thing is a beta, maybe none of it is a beta, I don't know.
Just choose.
Be down to give it a shot? Well, I mean, we could ask around a bit and see if people in RITE Club would be interested. I'd have to brush up on it. Lilac, I do believe this is you. Do you have control still? There we go, okay.
Ah, there.
Wasn't sure if in that little double controller fiasco, if you had lost control in the process. Okay, let's see. What are we looking for here? What do we want? Just keep it simple? Go with the usual go-to, or do we mix it up a little bit? Well, I mean, as is usually the case, I don't play very often nowadays. I'm pretty much in a perpetual state of being at at a certain degree of rustiness. Legendary Pamatha there. Let's go. This. A zoo.
Exile.
Throw the orb at you.
That sounded like you were trying to put a crone curse on me.
Oh. Wait, hold on. Did you just do Crone Curse on that crone?
No.
Is that so now?
How did that get there?
What is this, Feral Carisse? Huh. Never heard of it.
Don't worry about it.
Do I care enough about that? Change things up a bit. Worth going that route? Yeah, sure.
Oh boy.
Now begin.
I was hoping I could still get the angle there.
Too bad for that one.
If you could just shimmy on this way a little bit further. Why, thank you. You know, I'm gonna be honest with you, I wasn't actually trying to plunge in there, I was trying to jump to the other side of the pyre and then throw it in. Oops, I was about to harp push you in. So, one way or another, Orlek was definitely gonna make it in on that occasion.
Scribes are favoring the fate.
Oh. Oh. I see. Oh. Pardon?
Oh, you see... I may have gotten a little too sidetracked about trying to bring back the other characters rather than just settling
You may
for...
have miscalculated.
Rather than just settling for making things do with just an imp. Never mind. That's unfortunate. Oh, what? I did not realize I lost the orb there.
Aha!
The orb flies
Ah.
true.
Ha ha! That's not ideal. Oof, indeed. Indubitably. Oops. That was totally part of the plan.
Mm-hmm. Sure it was.
Okay. Don't mind if I do. Okay, well, you know, maybe I got a maybe I may have made a... I was standing on the lava? I was standing on the lava for a brief second there. But also, make no mistake, I made about 3 mistakes in the span of about a second.
Why, that was rather bold. She soared right in.
That's actually not ideal. And it screws me over for this round, not gonna lie. Oof, well done. GG?
GG.
Prevailed. Their adversaries came ever so close.
What's up, Frost? How's it going?
Thus
Hello.
end this night's proceedings.
Alright, well, let's head on back. And as I
I
was
was
saying,
just-
I'm mostly just filling in here.
Until the stars
I was just
align.
thrashing lids.
Oh, okay. Thrashing, a common word used to describe when one wins by 1 score. Well, I'm
I don't
mostly
know
just
what you're
filling in.
talking
If anyone
about.
else does want to hop in, let me know. I'm happy to swap out. Whether that be Frost or anyone else. Yeah, I don't know if I realized that you were a Bastion player, Jer. Obviously, it's the first of their games, which, at the time, I think, it was very impressive. And to an extent, still holds up well. It's maybe not all that sophisticated by modern standards, so from that standpoint, it might feel a little lackluster, but obviously you still have the great music, the great visual art. The gameplay just maybe doesn't have quite as much depth to it as one might expect by a modern game standard, but even that's maybe a little unfair. Obviously it has the cool aspect where as you walk, the floor gets built around you. Alright, but it looks like Frost is not looking to get in at the moment. As I said, let me know if anyone else does want to hop in. I'm happy to make room. If not, I could stick around. But I give preference to getting you guys in from chat. Frost might actually be able to in a little bit, but we'll have to see. Okay. Well, in that case, we could do another one here between Lilac and me, and then there's a chance that Frost will be available after that. So why don't we hop back in?
The fate shall
Ooh.
take on
Okay, the Glade of Liu.
fire hearts. Welcome. Who shall conduct the rites?
Oh, a speedy Volfred. How interesting. What if we spice things up a little bit here? Yeah. And then been a long time since I've set up a harp like this. What am I looking for? Honestly, it could be this. Curious. Might be redundant / overkill, but I'm intrigued. Also, I was getting a bit of a sense of the direction in which this might have been heading. That's unfortunate. Oh! Well, that was unexpected. In that case, well then. What do we do here? I hear Messenger Imp's a pretty good guy.
Messenger
Ah.
imp.
I see.
Just take it. Begin.
Oh, right, I don't have that.
sacrificing.
I don't even have portals on the imp. Take
Perhaps
this
you should have
sacrifice.
thought of that. Perhaps you should have thought of that, Vids.
Well, I mean, I had to answer your talisman-less, mastery-less character with one of my own.
Did you? Did
Yes,
you really?
of course. It's the only honorable
that-
thing to
is-
do.
And you are an
Oh.
honorable exile, I presume.
Well, that was the idea.
Oh,
You know, given how I don't create portals, there isn't much to be gained from sacrificing the imp out there.
It just seems a bit cruel at that point.
You might be right,
Like you hate the messenger imp or something.
but I
orbs unclaimed again.
feel no such way.
You are powerless for now.
I'll be the judge of
Oh,
that.
his aura also isn't big enough to banish you, which I just realized.
Oh. There. Bask in the purifying flame. There.
No! Oh, that was the exploding harp, though, and that actually did work.
Now.
Please don't do that. Thank you.
I'll do
No,
as I
actually, I'm
please.
over on this side. No! The harp push still didn't work.
What happened there?
Madness. Nonsense. I'm so slow without the first imp mastery on the left side. It is painful.
Oh, poor Ruki.
Perhaps
Is
this
he
shall
just
be
a
the
decoy?
new- Perhaps this shall be the new longest rite.
I don't know about that.
A bit of a blunder.
I think we're already well past the pace for that.
I can fix that.
No sign of the
Can you
faithful
now?
now. Kamatha thrusts
Might have
herself
had time
into
to
the
throw,
searing
but
flame.
it was getting close.
Ha ha ha.
That is a very speedy bullfred.
He's just gliding.
He is. He really is. Some might even say flying. I mean, if you want.
The orb slips from your clutches.
No! He was so close.
Remember everything which you hold dear. Now go on, just once more.
I'm pretty sure it's gonna take a lot more than once more. Pretty sure that Lilac may be holding on to a fair bit of that whole rekindling thing.
Oh, I don't know what you're talking about, Liz. It's perfectly safe. It's fun.
Dying flames survive.
Right. About that.
The two triumvirates are neck
And now we're tied. Funny how that works.
Oh boy. I love it when things are tied.
The fates seem to be falling behind.
No! Well, it was the exploding harp, which actually did help, but...
The orb is taken.
Huzzah! He's not useless, even if, statistically speaking, 15 damage is kind of completely useless because I'm mostly just scoring in increments of 20, so it just means you're going to survive with 5 Pyre life later on. Yeah, that's beside the point. We don't need to talk about that.
Bye now.
Round and round he goes. Where he stops, nobody knows.
Someone grasp the
Oh,
orb.
I'm out of the staminas. That is not a good thing.
That was the last of them.
The exploding, though, that was quite helpful. Will it buy me enough time to do this? No, it will not. You know I can do that, right?
Another battle.
I may have forgotten.
I do also have some leech. Ooh, I wasn't sure. Ooh, there's an extra bonus on top of that. The imp that keeps on giving. And here is the situation that I was describing before.
Now to the
Did the imp score matter at all? Look, that's not important. It mattered in our hearts.
Exactly. Exactly.
That was
Good.
definitely not the move. It's easy to forget that I don't have an auto-imploding imp.
yes.
No! But what about the imp?
You want the imp to make the final score? Is
I
that
don't
it?
know what you're talking about. That's definitely not what I'm trying to set up right now. I would never be so predictable as to do that.
How very sad for the fate.
Are you...
Oh! I tried to make it 4
Well-
damage.
They overwhelmed their adversaries.
GG, well played.
I foiled your plan.
It's ended.
So I truly, in the end, I am the winner.
I think we're all winners
Think about
here.
it.
Alright, well GG, well played.
Until the next right.
If anyone else would like to get in on the action, let me know. As I was saying, I'm happy to swap out. I know Frost was saying a little while ago, maybe they'd be available to get in. I don't know if enough time has passed for that to be the case. But anyone else, of course, is also welcome to get in if you'd like. Frost can hop in now. Okay, perfect. In that case, I think I'll unplug the... Frost, remind me, are you on controller or keyboard mouse? Controller? Perfect. Okay. So I'll unplug my controller. And let me get you an invite. If you show up on Steam at all. Oh, there you are. Okay, perfect. Might have to wait a few minutes for the mic. No worries. I mean, you don't have to... You don't even have to be in voice chat at all if you don't want. Did the invite go through, though? Did we get you in? There we go. Right on cue. Okay. Nice. So then, technically speaking, we still have an archetypes request hanging out in the queue. So we could do that right now if we would like. How do we feel about that?
I feel good about it.
Frost King says sounds good as well. Okay, nice. So let's do that. Frost, it's Essence for you today, is that right? Yep, okay. There we go. Alright, let me get some archetypes out here for you too. Let me get the random number generator. Alright, so as a reminder, what with this being the first time we have done this today, and at least the first time in a couple of weeks, because we weren't here last week, basically we have a set of guidelines, 33 different guidelines for how a player could construct their team setup-wise, or in some cases, execute with their team once the match begins. So I will use a random number generator to randomly assign one of these archetypes to both of our players, and I will send it to them in a secret private DM, such that their opponent cannot see what their archetype is. We're just gonna, every time we're just gonna add more adjectives. Alright, well let me roll here for Lilac, because you're player 1. It looks like you're gonna get this one. Alright, Lilac, yours is in. What's up, Zombie? How's it going? Doing some Hades stuff. Nice, nice. Alright, let me roll for Frost. Frost, your archetype is gonna be this one. Let me know if either of you have any questions about your archetypes. Happy to answer those via private incognito DMs. Secret. I forget if we already had that adjective in there as well or not. But let me get us into an arena here, because that may influence your decisions.
The fate
Oh,
shall now
well that's
face
dramatic.
The essence.
It is the largest arena, so that may very well
Welcome.
affect how the players choose to execute here.
Who shall conduct the rites?
As I was saying, some archetypes based more on the way that the characters are set up, others based more on how the players execute once the match itself has started. For Lilac, it'll be a Mooncrest Oralek in the first spot. admittedly I didn't double check to see if anyone had any questions, but at least based on how Lilac has already selected the first character, I assume Lilac is good. Don't think you can move controller. I saw something moving. Oh, there you go. That'll be Bright Wisp Stowaway in the first spot for Frost. Speedy Bertrude in the second spot for Lilac. Ores Scale Gilman in the second spot for Frost. Quick Throwing Volfred is Lilac's final selection.
I hope that is not forbidden.
No, it's the Sling Bullet's the one that's forbidden. That one's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Often mistaken.
Thank you for letting me know.
Yeah, that one is the one that people often mistakenly think is forbidden, but that one is technically allowed. That's the one you're not allowed to put on Volfred. Sling Bullet there. Fine on Gareth.
Understood.
Likewise, no speedy manlies will be tolerated. But here we go. It is a randomly rolled archetype match, so both players have their guidelines that they are following, and only they know what they have here. Their opponent does not.
The orb is taken.
So we'll have to see how exactly this one plays out as Frost uses the Stunning Claim to slow things down for a second there, but Lilac's still in possession here with Orlek. That was a strange jump there. It just seemed like Orlek lost all momentum mid-air, but then does eventually make it in for a 25 damage plunge. Here's the stowaway for Frost, and the Bright Wisp automatically passes it over to Gareth when she goes down. Gareth stopped here. Here's Bertrude, who I honestly was not sure if that was a throw or Bertrude happening to drop the orb in the general direction that that throw probably would have been in.
Someone grasp the orb.
I think it was the latter. Bertrude's back. Back again.
The bog crone dove.
Now she plunges.
I understand. I know that reference.
Okay. Gareth makes it in here for 20. Do we have anyone use it? That's the Typhoon bottle, but I don't think we have anyone use it. Did anyone else see the trajectory of that jump?
No more than a lick of flame.
That seemed like
I
a
actually was looking
moonwalking
away
jump.
from my screen. I was actually looking away from my screen, so I.
You were
did miss-
facing the opposite direction that you were jumping in. Maybe you got sort of bumped, and you did a little bit of a pinball maneuver? That
You're
throw just
kidding
shy
me!
of the
No,
mark.
no.
That throw is not close enough, but with this plunge, Lilac will take the win.
Fate prevailed.
GG.
They vastly outperformed their adversaries.
An attempt was made.
Thus end this night's proceedings.
Well played, you two.
Mine was long range, emphasized scoring from far away, but I admittedly do not feel confident that I achieved such.
Interesting. So that was Lilac's archetype. As for Frost, if you would like to share. I suppose technically, of course, I did lie earlier when I said that only the player knows which archetypes they had. I also knew what archetypes the players had, so I could also share what Frost had. Was charged with possessing the orb for long periods of times, which Frost also felt like, it didn't quite live up to that. Well, let us know if there's anything else we want to do for the next one. We probably are going to wrap things up fairly soon, because we have been going for a while now, and Lids does need to do that thing that people sometimes refer to as eating. But let us know if there's anything we'd like for this one. Also, for what it's worth, I was mentioning this at the beginning of this stream, but I'll mention it now in case anyone missed it. Obviously, as you guys know, we are typically streaming RITE NITE on Twitch, and then about a week later posting the VODs on YouTube for them. But I am intrigued to try streaming on YouTube, and then that just logistically it makes things a lot easier for me, because then I don't have to separately prepare the VOD, which is frustratingly time consuming for
That'll be
something that
interesting.
doesn't really change the viewing experience much at all for you guys. So just a heads up, there is a decent chance that next week we may actually be streaming on the YouTubes rather than on Twitch. So if you're looking around wondering where we went, that may be the answer.
I will be looking forward to that.
As for the here and the now, I don't see any requests at the moment, so of course we could always just leave this up to the players to go with whatever they'd like. Seeing... Oh, hold on. Frost turns customize off for the first time today, actually, I think. So randomized exiles, masteries, and talismans. Won't even get to see what those things are in advance. Just going to get thrown straight into the action. Anything else? Could still do an arena and or a song, but otherwise the customize off accounts for most of the things. Looks like that's it, so let's get started.
The fate
Isle of Kaelmer.
face.
It is a cur, a harp, and a worm for Lilac. It is a demon, a
Everything's
nomad,
coming
and
up
a harp
first.
for Frost. You see Frost has the extra starting Pyre life. The math suggests that it's coming from a Jodariel mastery. Did we just see Jody get a banishment and not get any stamina back? If so, then that would tell us a lot about Jody's masteries. Might be 100% right side.
Righteous fire.
There's Frost plunging for 20 with the harp. But said harp does not return, so Zaxiana does not appear to have prayer beads. Edwin. A few banishments there. Ooh, he's all the way down on the left side for some built-in leech. This map is the Isle of Kaelmer.
Tamatha has plunged into the fire.
20 damage plunge there from Tamatha. No prayer beads on her either, so she's gone in this round.
Too bad for that one.
Gilman can't find a way through. Oh, wow. Big banishments from Dalbert. But he goes down. Oh, someone has webbed Lanthorn. Wait, who was that?
Now,
Not entirely sure. It looked like it might have been Jody. Obviously didn't really get to see on that occasion because Frost still had all characters. There you go. It is Jody.
the orb is up.
It's not a bad setup, and obviously everyone is down right now. Frost checking for the Brazen Manor, but I think Jody is 100% right side, and Brazen Manor is on the left. So nothing comes out of that, and in fact, not only does Frost not get the bonus damage, missed the scoring opportunity, but on the second attempt here, does manage to get in for 30 with a Jody plunge. Does mean no Jody in this round, as we do know what her talisman is, and it is not prayer beads. But once Jody returns, Frost does theoretically have enough damage to finish it with one score, and after this 20 damage plunge from Lilac, it means Jody is now back. So that is the danger that Lilac has to be aware of.
The worm
Lilac continues plugging away here, plunging for 15. Does mean Gilman is now gone in this round. Tamatha is a very slow Tamatha. She plunges here for 20. Jody knocks back some defenders and could have set up the winning plunge there, but couldn't quite get the job done. There's Dalbert for Lilac. He goes down, but a little bit of valiant return action from Lilac. Couldn't make anything happen with Gilman, though. So it's back now. Frost's Zaxiana, who's blocked and now banished. Gilman can't make it past Jody.
unexpected.
Once again, the valiant return. Oh,
The orb quenches
it's a little bump by the defender, but not a banishment, so Lilac's still able to make it through there. And with Frost down to 25, I don't think Lilac has the damage to finish it with one score, unless there's some bonus conditional damage that we haven't seen yet, but that may not matter, as Jody's moving in for what could be the decisive play, knocking back the defender and setting up
GG.
the winning score.
essence prevail.
GG.
Perhaps a stroke of fortune ought to be thanked.
Well played, you two.
The ceremony is complete.
Alright, well let's head on back
until the next rite.
And let us know, chat, if there is anything we would like to see for the next one. Before I forget, let's throw that customize back on.
And again, if anyone else wants to get in, me.
Lilac is volunteering to swap out if anyone is interested in getting in on the action. If so, just let us know. Failer says, let's go to the ridge. And there is Sky Dance as well.
Ooh.
Oh, hold on. What is this from Failer? 1 Lendl on your team. Okay, fitting for the arena. That does make sense.
What if I don't like Lendl?
Mom. What if we don't like Lendl? You have Lendl at home. I don't know who Lendl at home would be, though. I feel like, if anything, Lendl is Headwind at home. Lendl? I don't know if I've ever heard that one before, actually. Lendl needs more love. I don't know. I think you might get some people who disagree with you based on what we're seeing. Anything else here? I think this may, at this rate, end up being our penultimate rite, the last one in which we take any requests from chat before we go into the liberation rite. So if there is anything else we're still looking for, this would be our chance to make it happen. Okay, we have some people in chat who are Lendl fans. They do exist. They do exist. Underrated, some might say, apparently. Probably not how I would describe him, but maybe that's none of my business. Alright, well, this seems like that's all we're gonna get for this one. So Ridge, Skydance, and each player must have Lendl.
The fate shall take on the essence. Welcome. Who shall conduct the rites?
Speedy Lendl is Lilac's starting move. Bit of a mirror here, as it'll be Speedy Lendl for Frost as well. Exploding Orlek is Lilac's second selection. Legendary Bertrude is Frost's second choice. Now it's Lilac going the mirror route, also taking a legendary Bertrude. Whereas Frost doubles down on the Crones, finishing off with a quick throwing Woodmilda. So here we go, one Lendl per team. At the ridge, Sky Dance is the song.
The orb is up.
Here is Lendl, giving it up to Orlek. Plunges here, but with Stubborn Flame active already, that reduces Orlek's damage. Just 15 rather than the usual 25. Frost gets a big banishment there. Lilac momentarily defenseless, although Lendl does return. That throw is unblockable. For a second there, it looked like it might not quite have had enough on it, but it does land for 25. Bertrude. That's 30 damage for Frost. And Frost breaks out the Crone Salute. So Lilac defenseless here against a 30 damage plunge. Lilac now with Orlek. He'll make it in for 25. Lilac with Bertrude. Of course, doesn't have Orlek after having plunged with him. Just lost Bertrude, but Lendl banishes one of the defenders. He goes down, though. That makes Lilac defenseless here. So Frost, time to throw. This one, only worth 25, although that may not be of that much statistical importance here. It does mean Lendl wouldn't have enough for Frost, but either the Crones would. Oh, Lilac misses the defensive play. That throw from Frost is off the mark, and that looked like that could have been the deciding moment, but Lilac is holding on by a thread here and answers with a 30 damage plunge, and suddenly, this is a sudden death match. Except that Lilac does not have any characters who have enough damage here. Only has 25 damage in the case of Orlek, but after having done that, now it is sudden death. Anything would do for Lilac, whereas for Frost, it can't be Lendl, but everyone is turned into a defenseless Howler, and Lilac uses that ace up the sleeve to set up the deciding play. GG.
The rite is ended.
Well played, you two. Alright, well, let's head on back.
Until the stars align.
And with that, I think it may be time for our final rite of the night, our Liberation Rite, which would of course mean no requests from chat for this one. We'll just have both players take their preferred teams, and we'll go with Never to Return Essence edition here. Would have won if it wasn't so burdened by Lendl and the weight of his crimes. Ooh, Lilac switching things up to the Nightwings. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It is indeed.
A little change of fate, one might say. All right, well, let us delay no more. It is time.
I bid you welcome, exiles. You stand upon the fall of Solium. You now have this chance to prove yourselves. Cling to whatever shred of hope you have. Nightwings, stand ready! The Essence, stand ready! Now we shall get started.
Alright, so as we were saying, this will be our final rite of the night, our liberation rite. No requests from chat for this one, both players just taking their preferred teams to finish things off in style, and for Lilac that means a leeching stowaway as the lead. Frost opts for one of the rings on Jodariel. Kerfang Ulmer is Lilac's second choice. While Frost will go with a speedy, saluting Bertrude. Lilac will take the legendary talisman on Tizo for infinite stamina. Final selection, Frost will take the second ring on the stowaway. So here we go, our final rite of the night, our liberation rite. Lilac on the left representing the Nightwings, and Frost on the right representing the Essence. Best of luck to you both. There it is.
Proved their worth.
GG.
An outcome which left little room for doubt.
Well played, you two.
Thus ends the liberation rite.
As we were saying, that was our final rite of the night, our liberation rite. So thank you everybody who participated in the rites today, and everyone who gave us the requests in chat as well. With that being said, I'm going to hop out of Discord, but I will catch you guys next time. Alright, let me just free them from Steam Remote Play while we're at it. If they have yet to free themselves, but they may have both already done that. There we go. Alright, well, as I was saying, that was our final rite of the night, our liberation rite. So thank you everybody who participated in the rites today, and everyone who gave us the requests in chat as well. This was, of course, Pyre Community Rite Night, and if you're interested in getting more involved in multiplayer Pyre, then the best way to do so is by joining the Rite Club Discord server, which you can do by clicking on that link right there. My name is Lids. I'm hosting these Rite Nights. And my streaming schedule is Fridays, we're doing Mass Effect Andromeda multiplayer, Saturdays, Mass Effect 3 multiplayer, and then Sundays, this, Pyre multiplayer. We'd also like to squeeze Path of Exile 2 back into the rotation sometime soon, because there is a new update coming out for that in the fairly near future. Then Lids Vids on YouTube as well, posting the VODs for all those streams, so if you missed anything, you can catch that stuff there as well. And as I was mentioning earlier, I think we may find ourselves trying out some streaming to YouTube, potentially as early as next week, rather than streaming on Twitch, so just stay tuned for that, because we may be still coming to you live, just from a different location than you're used to. But if you haven't done so already, then of course you can also still hit the follow button to get notification when I go live. Also at LidsVids on Twitter. I post there when I go live as well. But actually the best place to stay up to date on all things Lids, especially if there is some question as to exactly which platform we find ourselves streaming on, is my Discord, which you can join by clicking on that link right there. But that's going to be it for me for tonight. So thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed the stream, and I'll catch you next time.